Good evening. John Augustine here. I hope I find you well. Lovely sunny day. A bit chilly, but it's nice to see the sun. You're puts you in good humour, doesn't it? I had to go on a bit of a journey after my prayers this morning, and up to Belturbis in County Cavan. An awkward place to get to. You have to. Anyways, I got there, and I was inquiring about Blessed Alexandrina. There was supposed to be a place there in 32 Bridge Street, Beltorba. I sent him a check, and I wanted 20 copies of the Blessed Alexandrina. This little booklet, which I read before, and it was lovely. The little saint. She depended on the Holy Eucharist for 13 years of her life. She was bedridden because she jumped out of a window when some men come to attack her and her sister and another lady that was there and saw a cheek of them coming with those young children. Just shows you how evil some people are, doesn't it? But she jumped out the window. It was only 12 feet, but it was kind of concrete or something. And she injured herself, but she got hold of a lump of wood or whatever it was, and she went back in, and though she might have been in pain, and she bet him. And so none of the ladies were molested. Their modesty was kept. And one of the ones who was trying to attack her was a former employer that her mother took her away from when he didn't honour what she requested, that she'd be able to go to Sunday Mass and that kind of thing. And but he didn't do any of that evil. But he repented later on, but he did the harm. She was bedridden from 20 years of age. God help her. And she spent 13 years only depending on the Eucharist. She wasn't hungry, and she was examined. But however, we are going to talk about Bishop Strickland. Light and leaven, Leaven. It's a word that I normally wouldn't be using, but and it says the challenges of the laity in the 21st century. And he's a fine bishop. Would that there was more like him. Now, one of the things that I want to paraphrase, he said that the church, he didn't blame Vatican II, but the people that had an agenda even before Vatican II, it didn't interfere with the practice of the Catholic faith in the Latin Rite or anything like that. But they manipulated it, the bishops, to their eternal shame, and changed everything. And he remembered it when he was young in the 60s and 70s because there seemed to be a rebellion, and people were wondering, well, who are you to tell me to do anything? The society was falling asunder. And but the church, according to Bishop Strickland, was corrupt. They had not done their duty and changed everything in the church to its destruction in some ways, like if there was an agenda. And he said it doesn't change the fact that it's the light of the world. And Jesus paid the ultimate price by his death on the cross to redeem mankind and the light of the world. And but there's a big job to be done, because when the church is in such poor condition, the world falls apart. It's the light of the world, and people are nourished when the Catholic Church is strong, and its message is clear. There's nothing ambiguous about it, but too many changes were made and too much great devotions that were there were gone, and so it's in difficulties even as we speak, as I speak, and as Bishop Strickland indicates. He said he was at the United States annual bishop conference, and he spoke about this type of thing, and there were some sniggers, he reckoned. So they didn't accept his analysis, which are his solutions. More's the pity, and this is why the Catholic Church is in disarray in the United States. There seems to be two voices. One yapping about all sorts of changes. There were too many changes done, and all this yap about inclusion and all the rest of it, all false. Jesus didn't talk about that type of thing. He preached the way, the truth, and the life. And Bishop Strickland, and he says canon law, states that the mission of the church is to save souls, to bring them to save their souls, so to be happy forever in heaven with their immortal souls. And so that's their duty, and that's what they're ordained for. But it seems to be lost. And it's lost not just in the United States, but in Europe and many other countries. They are not preaching the word. The bishops seem to have lost a plot in some ways. They'd want to speak up more clearly and not be just administrators, which is all they appear to be in many countries. There's not too many like Bishop Joseph E. Strickland, which is he's just a great. Bishop Snyder is another one. Cardinal Raymond Buck is another good traditional Catholic prelate, and he preaches the word, the truth. And they're under attack because of that. It just shows you the state of things. And the Christian TV Ireland project, we will certainly be supporting the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. And Holy Mass will be said, of course, every day, and in the Latin rite, with the priest facing the tabernacle and the reverence and the beauty of it. And the priest, of course, giving the sermon in English, or maybe reading the gospel and the epistles in English as well as Latin, of course, because we all knew it when I was growing up. So these are what Bishop English stands for. And we support his great devotion to the way, the truth, and the life. He's making enemies, but he's spreading the word. And people are encouraged. The same as Cardinal Raymond Buck preached the word. I heard his sermons. I was at where he was when he was in this country. It was just a joy to hear him and to see the celebration of Holy Mass in Limerick in the priest of the Sovereign Church, or the people receive Holy Communion kneeling at the altar rails with the priest and an altar boy to protect the sacred host. And the women all wearing veils, most of them, or some other methods. And they're they're a great joy to behold. I've got Mass there, and I know that church for donkey's years. I was living not too far from it when I was young for a period. Yeah. So then my mother was from Limerick. So I know it pretty well. So let's hope that Bishop Strickland's example will translate to other prelates, and some of them are preaching the word. Monsignor Pope in Washington is a great man, preaching the way, the truth, and the life, and other ones as well in the United States and in different parts of the world, and in particularly they're great in Africa. the foundation was there, and they have imbibed it, and they don't want any of the sort of policies that's been trying to be inflicted on them by governments and some people in the church. No, they're not going to have it. They're going to go the traditional way that they were taught and that they believe in and that the culture respects. That's why the Catholic Church took such root there. They knew it was right for them, and it's right for us all. So there we are. I'll be doing my hymns after this, so book your seats. Bye now.